Now here in the studio we have Jaime Carias to talk more about all of the changes that are going on around USC. Jaime is a lifelong resident of South Central LA. He graduated from the Price School of Policy, and now he coordinates community engagement here at USC Annenberg. Jaime, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure being here this evening with you. Thank you very much for hosting me.
Yeah, we're so glad to have you. So first of all, so you grew up in South LA.
Correct.
Okay, so could you tell me a little bit about what it was like to see USC, here in your neighborhood growing up as a kid?
I never thought that I would be here sitting, speaking to you when I was growing up as a kid. I never thought that I would earn a master's degree from USC, from the Price School back in 2010. I never thought that my life would turn out to be what it is today. Why? Because my story begins with my parents. They immigrated to this country from a small Central America country called Guatemala. And they came here with a dream, like many immigrants come to the United States to pursue a dream. They came here for a dream for a better life for themselves, but most importantly for a better life for their children. And with the little money that they had, they decided to settle in South Los Angeles. And as a kid growing up in the 1990s, the 1992 Rodney Riots, I still remember South LA on fire. I still remember the community looting. I still remember the National Guard on my block when martial law was declared. And it was very interesting doing that, right? And as a kid growing up in South LA, my mom has forever worked as a housekeeper. She's actually working in Beverly Hills right now as we speak at one of the most luxurious beauty salons. My dad, for 35 years, worked day and night through sweat and tears, daytime as an auto mechanic and nighttime as a bread baker, until a couple of years ago he had a horrific accident at work where he lost his finger and a machine took his finger. And growing up, my parents always would tell me that school would pay off for me. And ironically, we had one of the best universities in the world in our backyard that we could walk to, that we could ride bicycles to. And my dad, how he kept us out of gangs was that he created the South LA soccer team that we played at Compton City College. And we would come to Exposition Park and practice here. And sometimes our soccer balls would cross over to the USC campus. And my mom would bring me to this campus, I still remember vividly as a small child, with black trash bags to collect cans during the summertime and during my days off during football games. I remember having, as a young boy, coming with my mom with a black trash bag and sticking my hands in these trash cans here on this campus, getting the cans out, the plastics, sometimes dumping soda out and whatever was in there and putting them in these bags. And at that moment, I felt ashamed. I felt a sense of embarrassment, because I would ask myself, how come I have to do this? But as a kid, I would look around the campus, I would see the faculty, I would see the students, I would see everything that was here, resourcefulness, and I started dreaming. I started dreaming that maybe one day I could come to school here. I started dreaming that maybe one day I could go to college. And I remember asking my mom that I wanted to go to school here. And my mom, like a lot of first generation parents who aren't aware of the educational system here in this country, told me the truth. She said, son, that's great, but we don't have money for you to go to USC. And what I tell parents now is she was telling me the truth. We didn't have the $50,000 that USC charges in tuition. But what my mom didn't know is the programs that this university offers to youth in the community. My mom didn't know about the federal Pell Grants, about FAFSA, about scholarships, even something called loans. And at that time, when your mother tells you that, you go from dreaming to just thinking maybe it is possible. So growing up here, USC has a very special place in my heart, because as a kid, I saw this kid growing up and the cans. And then in 2010, I was fortunate enough, in 2008, as an undergraduate student, I met my lifelong mentor, who is a professor at UC Santa Barbara in the Department of Sociology, Dr. Victor Rios. And when it was the time to apply for grad school, he looked at me and he said, Jaime, you collect the cans at USC, why don't you go collect the masters now at USC?
Which is probably the most, it must have been totally remarkable for you, like to go from realizing like, hey, this is something that I've looked at and dreamed of, and now, somebody's gonna help you make it a reality. But I wanted to ask, so what is the community's perception of USC? Like, what does USC mean to the community in which you grew up?
USC means everything. It meant everything to me growing up. You look at this university and you look at the great resources, you know how great it is, right? You know, now as a community engagement coordinator that I go out, you know, I'm able to bring the resources that USC and Annenberg is able to provide to students. But I also understand that other side of the spectrum, right? Because I was that kid looking outside in, and now I'm blessed that I'm in here serving the communities that surround this university.
And do you feel like, and I would, you know, if you could give me some positive and some negatives, like the impact that USC has on the community, like how has USC changed the community that you know, you grew up in?
Well, crime has definitely declined. It's brought a lot more cleaner streets here. It's brought more business that now, you know, I don't have to drive as far out to be able to do things, and the entire neighborhood is changing for that matter. If you look at homes throughout surrounding the campus, everything is changing slowly. I believe that it's changing for the better and for the good, because how it was maybe 20 years ago in the 1990s, it's a whole lot different today. And that's part in because the university has committed itself into pumping funding and resources and personnel to be able to impact the community that surrounds this beautiful campus.
Do you feel like, though, that, you know, for instance, we were talking about the new USC Village that is being built over on the north side of campus, and one of the, you know, there's been a little bit of backlash from the community, so I've heard, especially by way of perhaps like driving up housing prices, driving up. Do you have any experience with that? And, you know, as the community engagement coordinator, do you feel like there's anything that, you know, we should know or do as a community differently? Like how has that kind of that backlash impacted your position?
Yeah. Well, I think what the community feels is that there's been this wall created right between USC and the community might feel also that wall is dividing, that this is USC territory and that's the neighborhood. The USC will go into the neighborhood, but there's a wall there, right? And for example, for the village, the community probably doesn't feel that they'll be welcome to the village, even though it is an open space, right? So I think once the village opens, USC should do more of an effort to open that village to the community, to invite community members to host, say, community festivals there or resources. So like that, you know, USC is not going anywhere. The community is not going anywhere. The future of university and community partnerships are real, and it's not to confront each other, but rather to collaborate with each other.
That is fantastic. Thank you so much for being here with us today. I really appreciate it, Jaime. It's been wonderful talking to you. If you want to learn more about Annenberg's community engagement, you can visit the Student Services Suite at ASC 140.